So, good evening and welcome to Chilling and Chatting. I didn't say the Plastic Crap podcast. This is episode 1. So, I am joined today by Stuart from Miniature Realm Studios. Good evening, Stuart. How are you?
I'm really good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, brilliant. Basically, format's going to be we're just going to be talking about the hobby. Stuart Stuart's going to show us some pictures. We're going to talk about what he does for a living in regards to commission painting, and we're going to just let the conversation flow. If you've got any questions, get them down in the comment section and we will definitely answer them. So how have you been, Stuart? What have you been up to?
I've been really good, actually. Been working hard, painting toy soldiers. Hard life.
Very hard.
I've had a really messy day, actually. I was at a stage. I use a lot of oils for painting 40k stuff, so I'm doing weathering and oil washes and stuff. And I've been buffing it off with bits of foam today, and you just get covered in it. So I've had what I call a messy work day.
It's been good. No, that's cool. No, that's wicked. So what have you been doing in your hobby so far? Say since the start of the year. Then, so what were you doing in January, and what are you working on at the moment?
So primarily for the last few years, I've been very Middle-earth strategy battle game focused. I do a podcast for it and a little YouTube channel and things for it. And work's been really hard because of homeschooling at the beginning of the year. So I'm a little bit behind. And I had all this stuff to do for the podcast, but I've been painting Moria goblins and stuff for one of our podcast shows. But then Warlord Games released a new game called
They're horrible.
Epic Battles ACW.
Yes, I know.
And it hooked me in a little bit. There's a little bit of a background there. Over Christmas, I've been watching Seventh Son and Martin. Doing his Napoleonic battle reports. And at the same time, one of my friends that's locally plays Middle Earth was playing Black Powder, and I've been wanting to get back into historicals for years. So I bought loads of 28mm Napoleonics, a division of British and a division of French, built loads, and then I kept looking at this ACW stuff, going, this is my two favourite periods in history for warfare, and I thought, I've got to buy it. And now this scale is amazing for what the kind of size games I want to play, and the 28mm collecting dust. So we'll see what happens once I've painted the ACW stuff. But that's primarily what I've been doing.
No, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I am quite soft, as people will say, to a French Napoleonic.
Also soft word.
So I'm quite renowned for my French. I do love the French, and it's really weird because I never thought I'd actually really enjoy playing them. They are my favorite faction now, but I wanted to do originally probably the British, because obviously we're British, and being British, it's one of those patriotic things. But I'm glad I went the French just to piss Dom off when we play games, because he absolutely hates them, and it just makes me crack up if I beat him with him. And it's really weird because I don't know about yourself, because obviously you've come from a background of heresy and 40k and stuff like that, like me. I always feel like the French and the Napoleonic ranges are a bit like the Ultramarines and the Space Marines, because they literally have so much stuff. People always do manufacturing for them.
maybe.
Yeah.
I haven't played a lot of 40k. I was probably more fantasy side, but I played heresy for a couple of years, mainly because of the lore. I really loved the heresy narrative. It took me right back to my teen days of playing Epic Space Marine and stuff, which I know you play a little bit of from watching the videos. So it kind of took me back to that, and that's the first time I really got dragged into playing any kind of 40k rules, apart from since a teenager. But I stopped playing it because I don't like the game.
Oh, right.
I love the models. I love the look of it. I love the lore.
Awesome,
I'm just not a fan of 7th edition 40k. It's just not my kind of game at all. No. I like a rule set that's got a nice snappy mechanic, which isn't necessarily realistic. Something like War Machine, or we talk about Middle Earth. It's a really nice rule set that feels like a fun game, simple mechanics to play. Or I like things like Black Powder, which is simple but allow you to recreate stuff and push big armies across the table without it being too complicated. And I think 40k, at least 7th of 40k, was just needless bloat and complications. So put me off a bit.
No, I got to agree. 40k is definitely off my radar now, but I'm like yourself. I love the lore. That's the problem, is I love the audio books because I love listening to the books while I paint. and the Black Library stuff, you can just go through the heresy stuff. Like, I think I made it up to, I think it was book 24, 25. Going through, just listening on audio, and then what will happen is in maybe a year's time I'll pick up from where I left off and just carry on again. So I go through phases of listening to one thing, then I'll listen to something else instead of mixing it up. But no,
it's up to 56 or something now. I'm about one behind, I think.
Yeah, I've got to admit, I skipped to the Solar Wars. So I skipped those. So I did start listening to those. I was like, I'm not waiting for that. I was like, so I have started listening to those. But see how the chat's going. So we have quite a few people in so far. Tim saying laugh out loud. Lionheart, evening all. Good evening, mate. Frederick, I can't pronounce that. I'm really sorry. I think that is Frederick Stutz. I think that's German. But hello there, Stu. Brought me here. Nice to have you here, buddy. So
I probably ought to open up YouTube and put it on mute so I can see the chat.
Yeah, you can. No, you can see it on StreamYard if you go on the
right-hand
side. Oh, can you not?
Oh, hang on a minute.
Both of us, and then you
sorry, comment. Separate tab. Got it.
That's it.
Frederick Schultz. He's I think he listens to Out of the Frying Pan, and he's in a group of people who watch the battle streams of Middle Earth I was telling you about before we went live.
Got you. One from Violence saying, evening all, good evening. Fuck off with the Vikings, Tim. Oh dear. Nick Gaze put, Stu should have a Napoleonic game with Ken and mine. It's possible because you live in Cheltenham or Gloucester, don't you?
Gloucester now, yeah. I have lived in Cheltenham.
Gloucester, yeah. You're not that far technically from me, I don't think. You're probably about an hour and a half from me at most. I'm Southampton.
I don't know where you are exactly. So
Southampton, so I'm not too far.
Oh, yeah. A couple of hours, I imagine.
Yeah, so not too far. But Martin, speaking of Martin, he's here. I've literally logged on and he's just like in the French to Space Marines. Damn jovial Marshall's pattern. No. And Sam saying hello Sam. So that's the comments so far. But
my co-host on Out of the Frying Pan, Dan's there.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh,
look what he's commenting about.
Hi, Dan. So speaking of Out of the Frying Pan, I've only just discovered it, and if you haven't listened to it, and you like Middle Earth, I suggest you get over there now, and you start at episode 0 and work your way through. I'm on episode 4 at the minute, and absolutely in love with it. I think it's great, and it's giving me my Middle Earth fix, definitely. So, what made you want to start doing it? What was the whole?
Middle Earth is probably my longest fantasy passion, to be honest with you. Probably the biggest nerd thing. Always loved it. One of the first fantasy books that I'd ever encountered. I think my mum read The Hobbit to me when I was about 6 or 7. So
okay.
It's been there for constant throughout my life. And I didn't really play it when it first came around. I wasn't really gaming at that point. I was aware of the game. So we were talking about battle games from Middle Earth. You missed them, didn't you? Because you were too young. I missed them because I was in my 20s and pretending that I wasn't a nerd.
I had to for a while at work.
Yeah, just keeping it hidden. I would watch the films obviously when they came out, but I pretty much read the book once a year, every year since a teen. So it was a bit of a no-brainer. But I played miniature war games for years and never played the Lord of the Rings version, which Games Workshop made, which seemed a bit odd. And as I sort of got to the end of playing for Heresy, I started playing Middle Earth, and then Dan played Heresy as well. I got to know him through that scene. We just decided, along with Sam at the time, Sam was a bit of a part-time host, that we would sort of start a podcast, because I was already doing podcasting and things anyway. And it's an audio podcast. We do have a little YouTube channel with a few videos up, but it's there as a bit of support. So we spend time putting an audio show out that people listen to on iTunes and things, not like your Plastic Crack where you kind of log in and watch it live kind of stuff. We are traditional audio only.
You're a real podcast.
I get to edit what goes out before it's live on the internet.
Sometimes I do wish we have a beat button that I can just push. Sometimes we get a bit carried away, but it's what it is. But I know it's one of those things, and I'm like yourself. And I think a couple of other people are the same. Lord of the Rings to me is like Middle Earth is general, like The Hobbit. I just love it. I know I've always loved it from being a kid, and like I say, I missed out on the battle sets, but I'm probably going to try and relive that.
You should go back and definitely watch battle streams I'm describing. Go back and watch the back versions of those, because they're really, really good.
Yeah, and to be honest, with regards to like Games Workshop games, it's like, at the minute, myself and other people, we're into historicals mainly, and gone off like 40k, and like I quite enjoy like their older systems, so like Epic, and I don't mind a bit of fantasy as well, but the new stuff not really. But the only thing that I can say that I've really enjoyed, and I have actually read, we were talking about it before the stream, do you know the rule book? I've read it. I took it on holiday with me to Spain, and I've read it back and front. I actually read the whole thing. It's probably not all of it's kept in there, but I do remember like certain little rules and things like that. It's like, I just love the mechanics of it. So like the in the way rules. So when you're shooting a bow, I think that's awesome, because it's quite hard to hit with a bow, isn't it, over distance?
But you don't dominate the battlefield with bows. There's a few army builds that may do that a little bit more, but it's not a missile fire sort of dominated game. The rules essentially haven't changed that much from the first edition. They just added extra rules, things that your heroes can do, that kind of, and a lot of people watching this will be very familiar with Rick Priestley and Black Powder and all the stuff that are involved in that. So the guys behind a lot of the historical games we like were behind this game, and I think the essence of that's still in the rule set. I mean, it's not like Rogue Trader through to 9th edition 40k, which is a completely different game. You can see that the game's very gently evolved all the way through. It's still a lovely game.
Yeah, well, like I said, I've read both like the rule books and stuff. Like you say, there is a lot of similar mechanics. And the interesting thing for me is, I'm going to go back because I really want to. I showed you the books, the Fellowship. I want to go through all the scenarios, the narrative play. That's what really interests me. The match play is going to probably interest me further down the line, but I really want to do the narrative stuff. So through all 3 films. But I wonder if I can use the rules from, say, the new edition of rules with those scenarios, if they would work.
Any changes that you might need to make will be clearly apparent, and you just go, well, that doesn't work, so we'll swap that. Or a lot of it's down to the profiles. So what it lists in the old scenario, you might think, well, I'll just use the new profile for that or something. It's this, you can adjust it. It's not a major issue, and a lot of them haven't changed. So as I was saying to you before we went live, so Dan and I have done a lot of a series on the podcast where we take a famous narrative scenario. So Balin's Tomb was the last one we did, and we go back and we compare it with old versions of that same scenario in previous editions, and then any modelling and stuff that goes with it. So I built a Balin's Tomb board to play the last sort of game, and then we play the game and we review it and say, was it a good scenario? Did it work well? But we are picking iconic things from the films and books, and the last supplement, Quest for the Ring Bearer, is probably the most fluffy narrative book they've ever done, and we've played quite a few of the scenarios over the internet for this. And we've done Farmer Maggot's Crop, Buckleberry Ferry, we're escaping from Bree, Weathertop, all these fun stuff that you were talking about.
Weathertop, I've seen some pictures, and we'll be showing those off a bit later. But that is some awesome terrain. That's all I'm going to say.
3D printed that one. There is it's just a 3D printed. Like Weathertop, there is official Forge World Weathertop out there. So,
and I bet that's not a very cheap Weathertop.
No, it's not, but it's very nice. It's very nice.
I bet it is very nice. Yeah, and so Bridget's saying here he's just finished all of the episodes from Out of the Frying Pan, which is really cool. I will definitely get there. Like I say, I've listened to
take a while.
Well, I listen to it because I'm doing a lot of walking at the moment, and I download it on Podbeam and I stick it in when I'm walking along. I might do 10k or something. It takes an hour and a half to do that, an hour and 50, so it's perfect for an episode.
Absolutely.
So I could hopefully catch up, but those magazines. Yes, I'm very much excited about doing those. But in regards to because I've been listening to I'm on episode 4 now, and you were talking about the armies you were planning to do, because you plan out your armies quite ahead of time, don't you? Because you have to for work, don't you?
I have to plan my time a little bit. There are things I want to do. Sometimes it's projects for the podcast. So this year I did a Moria army because we needed it for Balin's Tomb. It wouldn't have been on the list otherwise. But I plan my stuff out. Sometimes it's because of an event. So I don't know what you'll have listened to. Probably talking about spells.
Yeah,
I planned an army for that. but yeah, I just have an idea and plan it out, and I want to do everything that is in the film or the books. I'm not too worried about the factions that are spread a little bit into kind of made up stuff. I want to do everything you see in the film or it's in the book. So so my list is huge.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you were talking about your Lake Town army, I think the last one's, and you were talking about maybe getting a plastic tree bid, which we now know has happened.
Yeah.
It's quite exciting to when I listen to it. I'm thinking, you called that, you got that right. And I was like, yeah. So, have you done your Rent army yet, or are you still?
No. So no. That was originally planned. So you'll get to the point where we were predicting what we're going to do for the year before we get to COVID. So
things will kind of for that. Yeah,
go on to a bit of a weird angle. But I'm going to do a display board for the Fangorn army, which is the Ents. And the plan is, so there's a scene called Flotsam and Jetsam where Treebeard goes up to there's a little sort of outhouse, and Merry and Pippin are there eating chicken and apples, and they're smoking, and it's flooded. I don't know if you've seen that from the film. So I'm going to build a board based around that, a display board, and it's supposed to go to Throne of Skulls 2019, which didn't happen. So we're hoping there'll be Throne of Skulls 2021, not 2019, would have been 2020, 2021. So even I'm losing track now. But we'll see what happens later in the year and whether they run the events. But I'm going to build the board this year anyway. But it's priority 3 probably behind something else.
No, that's cool. And so just in regards to, like, we were talking about like planning and stuff like that. So for your job, like now for the past like few years, we were talking about the podcast. What is it you do in regards to your painting schedule? Do you have more than one client at once, or do you? How do you work?
Not often. I'll place my bookings in a calendar, essentially, based on how long I think something will take. Nothing's ever to the minute or the hour or even the day with commission painting, because things will change, including life when it's homeschooling and kids and things like that. But I'll book stuff throughout the year. I'll have an estimate how long I think it will take, give the client a kind of aim to get it done this month. It's not one of those where I just take people's models in and then go, you'll get them back at some point. You do hear about commission painters that work like that. They're not always those, and I'm not casting any obsessions on anyone, but they're not always those that do it as their only job. They sometimes do it as a secondary job or an extra project or something. But this is my business, is what I do. So I want to give clients a semi idea of when they're going to get their models back, and they don't pay till the end. So there's none of this kind of awkward stuff of people waiting for their miniatures. So I am quite careful about how I plan it.
Yeah. So how does it work then? So if I wanted to come to you, do you do like set bandings? Do you charge for certain things, or?
There's I run loose bandings. You'll go to some website, especially I find historical commission painters more. They'll go is X amount per mini, etc., and you get one standard. I have some sort of price bands, but it's bespoke. At the end of the day, people will come to me, and everyone's got a different idea of what they want. Some people just want to get an army on the table really quickly and easy, and they hate painting. Some people come to me because they want something a little bit extra special, or a certain project. They see something I've done, they go, "Oh, I really want that." So it's about talking to the client really and finding out what they need, because that's not always immediately apparent. Usually, the first sort of line you get is how much for X army, and you're like, well, okay. You have to kind of have a backwards and forwards conversation to really kind of drill down into what they really, really want, and then you're honest with them about how long it's going to take and how much it's going to cost. But there are some basic price guidelines on my pin post on my Facebook page, but that's all I work from, really.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah, because I've got to admit, I have had a project commission painter before. Historical, so I visited a commission painter for some of my airborne that I've actually just finished, which is quite weird because I've gone over, because I got these done originally when I first started historicals, but I've gone over some of his work, if that makes sense. So
yeah.
I've made it match him with the other models that I've done now.
That makes sense.
Exactly. So the army all fits in. But sometimes it was just a handy thing because I was doing something else, but I wanted to get these done, and it's nice to have them done, and it's decent that you provide that service, and especially if you want like a really nice centerpiece or something.
Yes,
definitely.
There's a whole load of different reasons people go to commission painters, and they're not always people that can't paint or don't paint. It's just because they want something done and they haven't got the time. Some people just hate the idea of painting, I think. So it's a real mix.
Yeah. Do you so obviously you being a commission painter, you paint to a decent standard. I've seen some of your work; it's brilliant. Do you paint all your like personal models like that, or do you cut back a little bit? How do you?
It depends. I mean, most of the stuff you see on my page is generally tabletop or tabletop plus sort of standard.
Yeah.
And I paint my armies pretty much the same standards.
Yeah.
I don't really have time to take a lot more time on it. I've got a huge list, so I could spend a year painting an army and make it better, or I could get through 2 or 3 personal armies and have more on my collection as a choice I make. So I kind of paint most of my stuff ends up the same standard as what clients get.
No, that's awesome. No, that's really cool. That's really cool. And it's definitely something that I thought about like doing it now. Like it's not one of those things that I don't think you can just like rush into. Like yourself, you set up your business and you've got to build that clientele up and things like that, haven't you? You can't just say, I'm a commission painter now, just send me your models and stuff like that. It's definitely
I started slowly.
Yeah.
I had a little bit of a Twitter presence at the time. I used to make a little bit of resin terrain a few years ago called a little company called Terrain Geek. Very just bases and things. They weren't very good looking back on them now. I definitely wouldn't sell them now, but I sold them, and I had enough of a kind of. I used to paint my own models and put pictures up on there. So when I said I'm going to do commissions, I had people that would come to me, and initially it was very much 10, 15 hours a week for a couple of months, and it just slowly built to the point where I said, well, I'm going to go for this properly. The customers were there, and that's generally the way to do it. Is if you've got a platform, if you wanted to do it, you post your models up. I bet if you said, look, anyone want any stuff done, you know what standard you're going to get from me, contact me, you will have plenty of people coming to you. So you just got to have that footing, I suppose. If you're completely new account goes up on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, people aren't going to know you, but you've got examples and stuff you can gather and do.
No, precisely. And it's like we had that conversation before we came on. I said to you, I said, how do you motivate yourself to like paint your own minis? But you said you've always just been able to do it, haven't you?
No problem. It did worry me. A lot of people say about working in the industry, your hobby is going to spoil it for you. You hear people that play at game, work for Games Workshop that love their games, but now don't play any of their games, etc. And I've never had a problem with it. Like I said before, sometimes I just put my own models down and saying, right, hide them away, just work time. That's the biggest danger, rather than the other way around.
Yeah, I can imagine. No, that's really cool. It's really cool. No, exactly. It's really cool to see an insight into the industry. It's like we've had people on, like we've had the Perrys on the podcast a few times about how they do their the sculpting and stuff like that, and we've had manufacturers on and stuff. But it's really nice to see somebody that does it that's like myself is like really keen on the hobby, but just like one man.
I think the industry is hobbyists.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
And as much as people don't like the bigger companies, people get angry about Games Workshop, people get angry about Warlord because they're seen as the historical Games Workshop. there are most of the people in those companies are hobbyists, and they love the hobby first and foremost. There are people now, as the companies grow, that will come in from outside, but they'll often become hobbyists. But most of the people that work for those companies are hobbyists. And that's our whole industry is made up of passionate people.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's it. No, that's really cool. It's really cool to hear an insight for that. But moving on to like next subject then, historicals. You've only just got back into historicals.
A very long time.
Yes, a very long time. Massive. You like the black powder rule set, and what made you think black powder then? What was it that got you thinking, yeah, I really like these rules? Was it really or
partly? I was familiar with the rule set anyway. I watched videos on it a few years ago, so I knew it existed. And I knew its kind of ethos of playing big games quite simply and quite quickly. And the last time I played Historics, we're talking mid-90s, early maybe, 6 mil, Heroics and Ross, Napoleonics with I don't know the rules you got with it. Maybe some rules I bought from them, and they were like self-printed on with them. The only color bit was blue paper on the outside cover. Different era, but so I knew they existed, and I just thought, well, that seems a perfect place to start. And I do like I said, I do like the ethos of Rick's rule writing, and Jervis obviously had a big
Yeah.
sort of, and some of my favourite guys from my favourite era at Games Workshop, when we talked about the same with Middle Earth, those guys were involved in writing that, and the Perry's involved in sculpting the original miniatures. It just feels like that those people ended up going on and doing some of that stuff. So it's a good place to start. Who knows what I'll be in a few years, but couldn't resist it. I was watching, I know Martin's watching this, but he was watching Martin's Napoleonic videos over Christmas. And look, these lovely videos coming up with his lovely wife playing his games, and then you appeared one.
Yeah. Just popped in, yeah. You're right.
But I just watching those, I thought I'm finally going to do it, and I bought loads and loads and loads of plastics, a division of each. Easily, I think I've got 9 regiments of British and 8 of French, and loads of guns, loads of some of it's built. And I knew this ACW was in the background the whole time, and I thought I'm going to ignore that because I love Napoleonics, but I love ACW, but I'll go Napoleonics first. And then the more I saw it, the more I thought that was probably a better scale for what I want to do, because I want to play divisional level. And I thought, well, I'll buy that box set anyway. And now I'm looking at all the Napoleonics and thinking, I might sell them and maybe play 10 mil. If Warlord don't bring it out, I might go Pendragon and do black powder in 10 mil.
Yeah.
And then the plastic 28 will be sharp practice. Maybe the new Shakos and muskets or whatever it's called. That looks interesting as well.
Yes, myself and Dom are very much going to be playing that a lot. Because have you ever played Muskets and Tomahawks? You ever played?
No. I've read the Shako rule, sharp practice rules, but I've. So I'm really interested to find out what you guys say about it.
If it's anything like Muskets and Tomahawks 2, what we were playing with the cards, because I've not played sharp practice. Dom's the sharp practice king. But Muskets and Tomahawks, that game is phenomenal. It turned into my favorite game. Like playing it twice is so good. It's just so fluent. Do you like card games as well?
Yeah. I mean, if it's I'm guessing it's got random card elements and things to it.
Yeah. So basically, what happens is you both get a deck. Okay, so and each card represents a unit in your army, or you can do something with that unit in your army. You've got like different classifications, like provincial, militia, cavalry, cannon. Yeah, but you might have 4 of each card or 3, depending on the scenario that you play in. All get shuffled, and then they get dished out. But you could end up with your opponent's cards, and they could end up with yours as well. So you have to decide tactically as a general: do I play one of his cards now? So he then takes the turn, but then but he might play one of your cards, and you might play a card, so you might get 2 goes in a row, or it might play out that we just pick up all of my cards and all his cards are left in the deck. It really works out really cool.
I like that kind of mechanic. It reminds it's got little elements of sharp practice, I suppose, with when you're putting out your tokens. Your dice drawing for your bolt action, and I kind of like it's a non-traditional mechanic, isn't it? And I quite like modern rules games design. I like things that work well as a game without taking away from the feel of the period. If it can do both things,
that's what kind of put me off. That's what kind of put me off, like sci-fi. It's like waiting for someone to do their turn in 8th edition if we're playing a 2,500 point game, and especially if they had a lot of units, we'd end up sitting there for an hour waiting for them to finish, and it did get a bit monotonous and a bit boring. But when you're always engaged with it, I find the game goes really quick.
Absolutely. I want it to feel like a game. It is a game at the end of the day. You should be able to a good set of rules. I think it should work well as a game if they were just counters. Never want to play just counters. I'm really into my narrative and I'm into my models. But the rule set, I think, should work well as just counters. If your rule set is purely mechanics based around weapon stats and chucking handfuls of dice, then they're not for me. For other people, fine, but not for me.
No, I'd have to agree. And I think historicals, they're much better for that different shake-up. And there seems to be quite a lot of different rule systems that you can use across periods. So it's like Hail Caesar as well. I'm looking to get into that. My ancients and things like that. I will want to get into that at some point.
I may one day. It's probably a little bit further down the list.
I've got 6 mil Britons, and I'm waiting to get on those. But I tell you what, though, they're buggers at Warlord, because that's why I sold my 6 mil Napoleonics.
Right,
because the epic scale stuff, and I was like that big because I saw you unbox it, and that's what you made me. You made me when you got that. When I watched your video of that massive box and you went through it all in such detail, I was like, These 6 mil got to go. So
yeah, but you haven't bought the big box yet, though. What are you doing?
No, not yet. No. Because I want to be like yourself. Because I've been listening to you on the cast where you like to finish one project and move on to the next, right? Okay, I want to be like that because I like the sound of doing it like that. So, but I've moved the brown. Do you know you've heard about the brown bags of shame?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
yeah. So the brown bags of shame don't exist anymore. They're now under the bed in white clear bags of shame. And I went in there today, and I've got to admit, I did some selling today. I sold a Skaven army today, and I sold a couple of World War II bits that I've got doubles of that I don't need. But I've got some other stuff up, like some ships and stuff like that for Black Seas that I'm never going to do. Well, not now, at least in the foreseeable next 5 years. And I've said to myself, am I going to do this within the next 5 years? And if the answer is no, it's getting sold, basically. Because
and that's I've been on that journey, and that's why I'm a little bit more restrained now. And this is the worst I've been in years. Is that I buy all these different things and I want to play them all. You generally do.
Yeah, you do.
You had a couple of Kickstarters in there, but by the time they turn up, you don't want to play them anymore.
No.
And then you just end up moving it all on. So I try and stay to a couple of projects, and I find it's a little bit healthier. So while I want to do sharp practice and I want to do Napoleonics, I'm going to wait till I painted the ACW. But that's the other thing I find with historicals is you can finish a project and put it on the shelf. And once it's painted on the shelf, happy to keep it. It's not going to be. They might bring out a new edition of the core rules, but it's not like a new edition of 40k.
You got the
Robert E. Lee's not going to become
not in use anymore.
A new. He's not going to evolve into a Primarch level Robert E. Lee with a new profile. Is he?
No, he's not.
There's no power creep going to go on there. Those things are what they are. So I'm a little bit more comfortable with having those games and them sit on the shelf and I move on to a new period. It's just black powder. I'm just playing different periods. It's not.
That's the nice thing. You've got one rule set that you can cover loads of different points of history in.
Yeah,
which is really, really nice. What's Martin said here? Martin's put the black powder period. So many awesome armies. Well, sport for choice by doing one project in 28 and then in 10 mil doesn't feel like sure.
Yeah.
You summed it up perfectly.
I'm going to base my 28 so that I could play black powder at a small scale if I want to. But enough on single basis so they work in sharp practice. Or in fact, I bought some Victrix ones with the movement trays and even the single bases. They're nice rounded edges on the squares. They're really nice. They're a lot more expensive than MDF, but they just look nice. So.
Yeah, the Victrix movement trays. Don't even start me on Victrix. They're just such good value for money. It's just unreal the amount of plastic you get for the price because that's where some of my Austrians are going to come from. So I've already done one set of Austrians. I've got the other 2 boxes still under the bed. But then I was looking at
really characterful sculpts, aren't they? I found them really characterful. Lots of different poses. A little bit harder to clean up, maybe than some. But
but you pay. Yeah, but then for my eyes,
so much.
You're getting so much. You're going to clean up a little bit of work to get so many figures. It's unreal. Their old guard are just awesome. I've done their middle guard as well. Brilliant. God, yeah. This just makes me. Oh no, don't. Because it's going to make me want to start doing French again, and I can't because I've got so much French. You've
got a lot of French, haven't you?
I've got a lot, and I did it in 6 months.
I said this to you before we started recording, didn't I? That I was watching some Plastic Crack Series 1 today, and you were there, episode 2 or 3, really boastfully saying, "I've got no painting backlog," and having watched all of season 2 recently, I found it quite amusing.
Yeah,
you definitely changed.
Yes, it didn't take long. It was the dwarfs that did it. You haven't got to the dwarfs yet. I bought a load of dwarfs, and they're under the clear plastic bag under the bed. I've done quite a few because me and Dom started playing Oathmark. Which is actually really quite good. Really enjoyed it, and we got enough to keep playing. But again, when you get to that point where you've got so many different rule sets, when you get a chance to play, maybe
things start going out the other end of my head if I have too many rule sets. That's the other things. That's what one thing about black powder doing 2 to 3 different periods works really well. It
works perfectly because you can do that, and that's exactly what I'm going to use for that. But goddamn, forgot about this. The South, Dick says the South will rise again. There you go. But yeah, no, I absolutely love my historicals. I just think bang for buck. I don't know about yourself, but obviously, to me, it's really weird because I was thinking about this earlier on. Okay, so Middle Earth, I'm getting into Middle Earth. It's happening. Martin as well. He thinks it's a great rule system, and really want to get into it properly. And to me, the prices don't seem to be that bad. Actually, I don't mind paying it. So I've looked on the GW website today, and I was looking at it, and I was looking at some of it, and I was like, yeah, to me they're quite reasonable, because you don't need thousands of models, do you, to have a nice game in Middle Earth?
And it depends on which era you get as well.
Yeah.
So some of the models in the range are from sort of 2000, 2001 sort of era, and some of them are really brand new this year, and you can really see the difference in the quality, and the prices there are a little bit between them. And then there's Forge World stuff as well, which is more expensive again, but you can definitely get into Middle Earth SPG really, really cheaply.
Yeah.
Depends on what you want to play. So if you're there thinking, oh, I want to collect any army, you scroll through them all and go, I really like those hills. They're going to be a bit more expensive because they're all Forge World. But if you want to do Minas Tirith, or any of the stuff that was originally Lord of the Rings era plastics, really cheap. Loads of stuff on eBay as well. So you start buying through third parties.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of characters, and that's what I quite like about it as well. I think a lot of heroes. Really, really, I think it's going to be one of those things. Like I say, I'm going to work through it, and I'm just going to do these magazines and just enjoy it. And it might be something I keep to myself and not really put on the channel. I haven't decided yet. It's one of those you might get an update sort of video, but it's definitely a passion of mine that I'm very, very much looking forward to. But yeah,
it'd be good to see what you do. I like to see what you do, because it's nice to see.
Yeah,
so I'm obviously sort of quite in with the community for SPG side, so we see what everyone's doing. But it'd be nice to see how your kind of approach to it and your views on it. The same way as you can see me babbling about Black Powder in a different way. But it'd be interesting to see how you kind of definitely purchase Quest of the Ringbearer, the latest supplement, because you're going to love the scenarios on it.
I know. It does sound like one of those things. See, look, you're already getting me to spend money. It's just one of those things. So for its complete, it's 1,000-point army in one plastic set. Wow. Oh yeah, because that's another thing. I was listening to you guys, and you can I didn't realize that the Fellowship is like its own army.
Yeah, it just becomes an all-hero army, so it has its own list. You can use it the same with Thorin's Company. And Thorin's Company Plastic Sprue is one of the best plastic sprues around as well. Beautiful models. If you like your Hobbit era stuff, they're really, really well. The plastic Fellowship sprue, probably not GW's greatest hour. The metal one's probably better off.
Yeah,
but the Hobbit Thorin's Company is brilliant.
Yeah, I did find. Yeah. So, like you're saying there, would you say the scale then is off with the plastic sprue for the Fellowship? They seem a bit smaller than the metals.
There may be. It was more just the kind of the quality of the sculpts probably wasn't as high as it was on some of the other things.
Yeah,
showing their age a little bit now. They're still, but you can get them up cheap and they're perfectly usable, but they are a little bit out of scale. But you can get the metals for the same price on eBay anyway, so you can get them out.
Exactly, yeah. I'll tell you what, I did get a load of Nazgul a few years ago. Got the whole set for like 15 quid for like all 9.
They were going for a lot more than that a couple of months back when they brought back the Quest of Ringbearer book, but a lot of those models were still out of production. They were going for quite a lot more than that. And
that's another thing that I am learning as well, is they don't always have everything in production, do they? So
it's not there. It's clearly Games Workshop's not their main system, and they've got capacity issues. I know a lot of people online don't believe that. They think that they put stuff up for limited sales to make money. I'm not so sure about that, but they're building new warehouses and new packing facilities and stuff. Now a lot of that was delayed by COVID, and as soon as it's up and running and they've got a lot more storage space, they'll be able to hold more and more lines. So the plan will be that everything that was originally in metal will come back. So in fact, everything's got a profile there will be a model for. But at the moment, they bring stuff back on made to order for a little while, and then it goes away again, and they just rotate stuff a little bit, which is frustrating if you turn up at the wrong time and you want to do a certain army and those models aren't available. But it's not 40k, and it's not iOS, and the company's a business, and it chooses how much money to
put into production lines, isn't it? This is it.
They've got a really good team behind Middle Earth at the moment. They're a really passionate team. The rules writer Jay Clare's fantastic. Was a long-standing member of the community. The Rob Alderman's the manager there. Loves his Middle Earth. He's also managing Blood Bowl now. And then there's a new rules writer called Daniel Entwistle, who's just come from the community as well. So these guys they're really accessible. They turn up in the Great British Hobbit League, which is a Facebook group. So they'll turn up and answer questions and stuff in there.
Another one
You
with me
don't get that with 40k rules writers and stuff. It's
No.
so wildly different. So if there's anyone out there that maybe likes Lord of the Rings, it might be put off a little bit because they're not a big Games Workshop fan. It does feel like a very different thing within the Middle Earth community.
That's that. You know, that's very interesting to hear, because that was a bit of a worry for me. I was thinking it might turn into be a 40k-ish sort of thing. Is it quite a niche within GW then? Would you say is?
I don't know what the sales figures are like, but it's definitely in the specialist. It's under the specialist games banner, isn't it? Now it's under that side of the side of the business. They're doing very well, like Blood Bowl, etc.
Yeah.
But they're doing well. For a little bit, I do just sort of trickle down for you, the odd person that it's going very, very well. We talked about, you sort of worry about the power creep and stuff. The rules essentially haven't changed from the beginning. They've added rules and adjusted things slightly, but you can look at the Aragorn's profile from the beginning and look at it now. There's so much of it is essentially the same. So I think most things have improved it. They tinker around with lists and army lists, but that affects match play players more than anyone else. If you're playing narrative games, you're not really going to notice any of the meta changes that make people upset on the internet.
It does. This is one of the things, but it does sound interesting, like hearing you guys speaking about it on your cast, you know, out of the frying pan, when you talk about match play and stuff like that, because you did go to the con. Was it in Warhammer World, wasn't it? You went up there this weekend. Yeah,
that's the last event I did actually before the world went crazy.
And that's another thing, listening to it and knowing COVID's coming around the corner, hearing you say things like, "Oh yeah, this year we're going to get to this place," and because you organised an event, I don't know.
I've organised an event that got postponed twice and it's now July, but who knows whether we'll be able to hold an event without passports.
No, exactly.
Apparently, 21st of June, we're all cool here, but
we're all good.
I don't know. There's enough stuff between the lines that makes me think that maybe only over 50s will be able to go to my event, and there's definitely no limit.
No, but this is it. Well, I might be able to turn up because I've had my COVID jab, so I might be able to come as well. But no, we're hoping to do CrackCon later in the year. We're definitely hoping to do that. We're talking to some people at the moment, so yes, keep an ear out for that, people.
Oh yeah, if I can make it, definitely interests me. It's always hard. That's the other thing. I want to know what's going to happen this year because I have to book weekends. My wife can look after the kids to get away, so I'm really hopeful that Throne of Skulls. So you talked about Throne of Skulls, which is
Throne of Skulls. Yeah,
it's one of the big events that Games Workshop runs. There's obviously loads of non.
It was January, wasn't it? Is that normally?
It's usually in December.
Okay.
Usually the first weekend in December, and it's their most fluffy, laid-back tournament where you get points for soft scores for your kind of your painting and for being friendly and stuff, rather than the GT, which is the kind of go and win sort of thing. And then they do a doubles. Okay. The Throne of Skulls is the one where everyone takes big display boards too and stuff. It's brilliant. It's really, really nice, laid-back. Still a tournament, but no one really goes to go to try and win it.
I might have to go. Yorkshire Dragoons saying bring on CrackCon. Tim's for over 50s. I'm okay then. Happy days. So yeah. No, definitely. I'm definitely thinking about it because I remember I went to Warhammer World in January just before lockdown for my birthday, and we played Epic up there.
But you got lots of interest.
Yeah, even people that work for GW were like, "What's this?"
But they're generally really positive now, aren't they? There was stories a few years ago about that people not liking that, but now it's kind of bring old stuff along, more the welcome.
Well, I booked the table in advance, and luckily they had, they just obviously been doing Adeptus Titanicus, so they had all the Forge World boards all painted up.
Oh, brilliant!
So I got to play on that, and I was thinking,
I've got some of that actually. I've got some of that. I literally said, I looked how much it was at the time. I was like, I think I'll get executed if I buy that. So I thought I better not. And I was like, we were playing it and we were just getting loads of people just coming up and having a chat about it. What is Epic? And I was like, it's this game for Iraqi. It goes with the same scale as Titanicus and stuff. And I was like, they need to bring it back. And I was like, I just want to stand over a banner, #bring back Epic. There's a whole big community around Epic, and different groups run different versions of the rules.
Bloody good
There's
game.
a whole Epic 30k sort of
heresy stuff.
A lot of them out there doing, obviously they're illegally 3D printing miniature versions of the big stuff.
Yes.
But there is a big scene for it, so there'll definitely be interest, especially with heresy community people.
Oh, well, that's exactly. I've got a mine is heresy. It's not 40, it's 30k. So I've got Iron Warriors and Imperial Fists.
Yeah, I'll bring it. That's the era you want to go for, isn't it?
So that I was just like all over it. And I was like, this is I've got to, because I'm a Dawn lover. So
my last army is sold now. My last 30k army was Fists.
Yeah, exactly. And so you're like me then. You don't mind selling the minis. I've got certain people on the cast do not agree with that, but I
don't usually sell armies. But I think I said before, I just knew I wasn't going to play that version of. I just didn't enjoy playing the game, to be honest with you. I'd rather read the lore and just accept that the 40k rule set wasn't for me. I just didn't enjoy playing the game. Doesn't matter how good nice the minis are, the rules don't appeal.
Yeah,
so that's why I sold them. I don't normally sell painted models.
No, it's a weird one as well, because obviously I joined in 8th edition 40k and I quite enjoyed it. And when I started it, and I was hearing people were saying, yeah, we've got back into it from say like 3rd or 2nd or 5th edition or something like that, right? And now I understand what they must have felt when their edition ended, because obviously 8th edition ended, 9th edition started, and I'm not even interested in that. So this is like the first time ever that I've been. I'm
not even interested in the aesthetic anymore, and the same with AOS. And I think, don't get me wrong, I think they're producing fantastic miniatures, and I think they're right for their target market as well.
Yeah,
they're probably the best versions of what they've ever done, but I've changed as well. So I think it makes sense what they've done.
I don't know what it is, but it doesn't feel the same as like even when I started and was listening to the books. It just doesn't feel like it's the same sort of universe like how it's described. It just seems a lot more fluffed up, if that makes sense.
I think it's just things evolved, don't they? I used to like the older art style, but you're not going to keep that style forever, because artists go on and get other jobs, artists retire. John Blanche isn't the art director, I don't think, anymore, so he does a bit of part-time consultation and stuff, but the people move on and the job changes, and I think that's new generation of people take over, and I probably my interest in those things moved on with the people who wrote those rules, maybe.
I got to agree with you in that retrospect. It's it's same with Epic. That's why I think I like Epic so much. Just because when the rules are written, how the work, and same with fantasy. I like fantasy because I think it's when the rules were done and it's that little capsule time. I'm looking forward to the old world, to seeing what that's like.
That's potentially dangerous.
Yeah, that's very, very dangerous.
It won't be cheap if it's coming out of Forge World. It will be brilliant. They'll do an amazing job. It's coming out of this. It's coming out of that side of the studio, but I don't know what they're actually going to do. So I don't think anyone knows. They're not going to produce it all in resin, are they? I think we can assume they're going to bring back some of the old 8th Ed era plastics and things like that. So some stuff will be affordable, I'm sure. This is guessing. I've got no inside.
Yeah, speculation. No, the same thing. What's Tim put here? So Yorkshire's put, Ken, it's because you're getting older, mate. It's like music. New stuff is never as good as the old stuff. No, it's true. It's true though, because the younger generation that are coming up now, they've grown up with different stuff to what I grew up with, what you grew up with, and that aesthetic probably pleased them for a marketing point of view.
It's the best thing to do is not get angry about it. Things change. Too many people are angry about it, especially on the internet.
Everyone's angry on the internet. You've got a keyboard.
There was people just forget themselves. There was in one of the Epic ACW groups the other day, someone posted some painted models up. Lots of nice comments. So one guy said, "Nice miniatures. Sorry, nice painting. Shame you wasted your time on those horrible miniatures or something." And you're just like, if you don't like the miniatures, what are you doing in this group? It's purely for Epic ACW. Go away. You're just a mood hoover, aren't you? Really, I'm always quite kind of positive about things and try not to get involved in any of that. It just makes me roll my eyes a little bit. So.
I think you have to. I think you have to be. I've got to admit, there has been explosions on the podcast sometimes. As you probably have heard when I heard about that bloody with that limbo, I still can't get over that limbo.
There's nothing wrong with opinions on prices and things.
No.
I think it's where the context of where you have it. So if that's about a discussion around a new release, you're absolutely right to comment on the price and whether it's good enough.
Yeah.
But why have a comment that's negative when someone's just posting up their hobby
exactly.
in a group that's just about that hobby? So if you hate that, that's just it's like joining a Facebook group on My Little Pony and commenting on it. I hate kids' toys. It's horrible.
It's like you get the limber up and you just put there. Ridiculous price. Why did you do it? It's like, well, we know how much it costs, mate. It's fine, but
I think people should have those things, but know when to sort of let it go.
But this is
express your opinion in the right way and let it go.
Exactly, and this I think it's important as well, especially as people on YouTube and influencers and stuff like that. Sometimes people at these companies do listen to certain things that you might hear in the thing. We know that Warlord do watch the Plastic Crap podcast because we've been told they enjoy it, but just because they watch it, I'm not going to sugarcoat things if I don't think it's right.
No, you need to be honest.
You need to be honest about it. And
they do watch the groups. There was a case today, and again, Epic group, someone was complaining because they hadn't received their order. One of the guys in customer service that works there replied to the comment and said, I have checked this. So they're looking at the groups and they're trying to, in fairness to them, they might not get everything right, but they're looking for issues and they're trying to, he's clearly in his own time sorting out issues. So they like I said earlier, people that work in the industry are hobbyists. They are passionate. They might not have the same views as you, but they do essentially want to play nice games with nice people. So
no, exactly that. Have you ever been up to Warlord games?
I haven't. Every time I've been to Nottingham, it's been to Warhammer World, but it's on the list next time. I think the next time I get up there, I think I'll have to. They're not too far away, are they? I don't think.
No. Well, they've just moved because they were literally when I used to go there. We used to go up twice a year, so we'd go up in like January because it's normally my birthday, and then 6 months later we normally go up, cut a group of us, and we would go one day at Warhammer World. So we would play, 40k back then, Epic and stuff like that now, because the museum there is awesome as well. I love the museum.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's friggin' every time you go, you've got to go in there and just have a look. Absolutely love it. But yeah, then we go to Warlords and we spend the day there. So you book a table there, and they've got a really nice display board at the minute for World War II if you play bolt action, or if you want to play Black Powder, they'll set you up a board. Well, they've moved now, so it's an even bigger space. But yeah, I used to love going up there. The problem is they're very, very good at making you want to spend your money, even though you can get it for 20% off somewhere else, and you're in there and you're like, but the thing is, they're so good at it because you go. I have said to him before. I said, "But I can get it discounted." But he said, "But you can buy it from the official Warlord store, and we'll throw in a free tank."
It's like going out as a kid, isn't it, to a museum, and you want to go home with your pencil and rubber in your little bag to say you've been. Yours just happens to be an expensive box set. I'm the same though. When I go up to Nottingham, often in January, my birthday's in January too, so it's the kind of thing I would do. Usually, it's with the wife and the kids though. So Bugman's is a real pull because she'll go and have a coffee and we'll have lunch in Bugman's. So it might be a little bit of a harder stretch to drag, if I'm with the wife anyway, to drag her to Warlord games because I bet they don't have a cafe bar that she can see.
No, you could just leave her in Bugman's though, and you could disappear because she knows how long the game's.
Another plan. That's another plan.
But no, definitely, I'm definitely up for that. But someone else paint Warlord and not the price for stuff is good. So yeah, what we got here? Bad manners to knock someone else's paint job. Yes, it is very bad manners to do that. To be fair,
I think the person was generally the first comment to that about that. The example I made was nice paint job, but that was like three, 4 words, and the rest of it was all. But why are you painting them? They're awful.
Just because I think that no one should ever paint these models ever again. No,
it's funny though.
Yeah, it does make
it
does make giggle. But I was going to say, well, speaking of models and paint jobs, why don't we? If you have a look on the brand side, Stu, see where it says comment, banners, and brand.
No.
No, you can't see that. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna put up some pictures that you.
Yeah. You fire them up.
And you talk about them. So, first one is, love this.
Right. So yeah, the not weather top.
No, the not weather top.
Yeah, It's just a circular ruin. It's not actually copying any of the. I'm a big. I don't like IP theft, and that sounds a bit. There's a couple of companies out there that make stuff that's clearly designed to copy the style. And this is about as close as I get to it. To be honest with you, it's just a circular ruin. If you compare it to the film, it's not. But it was a company that doesn't exist anymore. I think the files are out there on Thingiverse. But it's essentially designed as a weather top. And Dan and I, as I said, were playing our sort of narrative game series. And this is taken from when we were playing that day using the internet in lockdown. So I had a sort of camera with a video card pointing down, and we played it over Discord. And had a little chat. And that's all my models. We did it all. I've done it all this end. So Dan just sat the other end, roll some dice, and I get to move the models, which is always better.
It's always a fun bit. Have you I don't know if you've seen it, but I've done some videos on Tabletop Simulator. Have you tried that yet?
Again, as we experienced when we found out that StreamYard didn't work on Safari on my Mac, and neither does Tabletop Simulator. It doesn't run on a Mac. So.
Oh, you're joking. What a bugger.
You've made me download Chrome today. I thought I was away from all that stuff. I had to download Chrome this week.
but no, it does look awesome for what it is. But did you print this out yourself? Did you?
No, I haven't got a 3D printer. That's don't want a rabbit hole. I'm not ready to go down yet.
I'd shut mine off the DOM. So yeah,
I'd have to buy a really good one. And the way I'll do it is I'll try and save money first. I'll buy one that wasn't quite good enough, and then end up selling it and buying a new one. So I'm just ignoring it at the moment and trying to pretend they don't exist.
Another 5 years, and then it'll all be good. But speaking of your paint jobs, oh my god, man, your painting standard's amazing, and there's not even me saying that. It's awesome. If that's what you can paint like, dear God, I am jelly.
So that's part of my Iron Hills army, which I took to that Throne of Skulls.
So is that the ballista you guys keep?
That's a ballista from Forge World, That's
and this is the thing that's OP as hell, in the rules.
It's not as bad now, but it's still quite powerful,
Okay, right. but these...
there's been an FAQ that made it a little bit less powerful. But...
Okay, because it looks awesome.
I've still only used it at that one event in 5 games, and it didn't do too well, to be honest with you. But that's probably to do with the general rather than the.
The thing is, when you get a unit like, say, that people know that is really like high powered, they want to get rid of it. So it always targeted, doesn't it? So it's one of those. But next up.
So that's Dane on his boar. So if you're not a fan of the Hobbit films, that you'll probably twitch a little bit at some of these things, but I think they're beautiful models nonetheless.
Because in the books he doesn't have the hog, does he? I don't think, or does he?
I don't think so. No, I don't. A lot of that's in the appendices anyway to the Battle of Manos of Bulzabar. That was what his display board was supposed to be. So it's a bit of a mix of 2 eras, a bit of the mix of the book fluff and a bit of the mix of what went on it.
It doesn't bother me if it looks awesome. I don't care.
It's a beautiful sculpt, And I'm a fan of the Hobbit films. I'm not. They're not my favourites compared to the Lord of the Ring ones, but they're good films on their own. My 6-year-old loves them, absolutely loves them. So.
Is this Forge World again? Is it?
Yeah, this is Forge World. Yeah. So this is where it's not as cheap as this is your non-cheap way into Middle Earth strategy battle game.
Absolutely beautiful, though. It's absolutely beautiful, and Jesus.
that was my display board for that year.
Oh my god, is this built from scratch as well?
Yeah, it's blue foam and expanding foam, and that's it really. There's lots of sand and grit and airbrushing.
Yeah, is that actual lights in it? Is it?
They did work. They were battery powered tea candles things, but I couldn't get them out again. So once the batteries went, they went.
Oh, that was it.
It was done a bit quicker than I'd have liked to have done. I'd like to spend a bit more time on the board, but I really wanted to take the display board to the event.
No, it's awesome, and Azog getting
dragged away.
Yeah.
So in the book, Azog's, things happen slightly differently. And it's Dane that does the business and things. But I kind of did a bit of a mix of the two. But it's good fun.
No. It's just awesome quality, and oh my god.
So that was one of the more recent ones I did just before Christmas. So part of our series of playing games from the New Quest of Ringbearer, one of the scenarios is like a standalone game that was in one of the White Dwarfs, I think it was, or it might have been a Battle Games Middle Earth. I can't remember. If Dan's watching this, he'll maybe pop up in the chat and remind me. But it's basically a Wizard's Duel game, a completely different set of rules. And I wanted to paint the models to play it. And I already had a Gandalf, so I painted up the new Saruman and the Palantir to play it.
Is this a new model of him? Is it?
That's the new plastic one. I've not done the mounted version yet, but that's the new plastic.
You don't, it looks awesome. And you've done the I can never remember what that's called. The eyes, the orb thing.
Palantir.
Yeah, that's it. Palantir. That's it. No, looking at the bottom left, how you've done like Sauron's, seeing eye is just so cool. That is
it's pretty rough, really. If you look really, really close, but a bit of a gloss varnish over the top, and it does the job.
I'll tell you what. If that's pretty rough, man, yeah. Oh my god, that's so good. I love it. Absolutely love it. It's always lovely when you see people's work and you're like, you can really appreciate it. It's like the Goblin King. Oh man.
Jeez, so you're like the method on this one. So I speed painted a Goblin Town army in something silly, like I can't remember the total amount of hours. Like 15 hours, 18 hours or something really, really silly. And I zenithal highlighted, and then contrast paints, and then a little bit of airbrushing of greens and stuff. So that was airbrushing contrast paints and inks and stuff over a zenithal highlight. So it's the pre-shade, just the white and black zenithal that's produced all that shading, and then you're just filtering over the top. So that shows what you can do with contrast. There's different ways of doing contrast. You can do your flat color, the GW way, the grey sear and the white, etc. But they also go just as well over other colors. They'll just produce different effects, and then you're essentially using them as glazes. Yeah,
no, they are quite nice. I've got to admit, for Space Marine armor and things like that, if you're doing over in metallic, they are quite nice. I have got to give Games Workshop that, because I was at Warhammer Fest when the contrast paints were announced. And I got to use them, and that's where my channel really started. Was my first videos was that, and we were sitting down slavering on some what was it, Blood Angels Red onto like a coat or something like that. Me and my mate Liam, and really, I've got to admit, I've got the whole range of the contrast.
I have now. I started with the browns, and originally thought, well, I'm not going to use them as described, because I couldn't see use for them like that. I wanted to play with them, but I started to use them on the bits I find a real pain to paint at the end of a miniature, which is like over belts or boots and things like that, and using the pre-shaded highlight that's there. And it works really well. And you can paint scratches on leather and do a thin glaze and a snake bite over the top, and it looks like, just sort of blends it in.
Snake bite leather is one of the best colours in there.
It's really good. So Seigel brown, if you thin it down, it's really highly pigmented. But they all do different things. But the browns and things and the yellows are the most versatile. And some of the others, some of them better than others. But they all have their use. It's finding the use for them.
Yeah, my Tom Bombadil is actually painted with all contrast paints, and so is my Gandalf. I've got a Gandalf. I have to show you a picture of him. I remember sticking it up on the Middle Earth group ages ago, like over a year ago, because I just painted him, and people said, "How did you do that?" And I said, "Contrast paints," and they were like, "No, you didn't." And it does. To be fair, it is actually I don't know if it's just a sculpt took the paints really well because it's one of the metals, and it does generally look like it's him from the film. And it is quite. It does even freak me out a little bit. To be fair, it's one of the best models I've ever painted. I think.
I think people have got caught up with the word contrast paint, as almost like dipping was a decade ago. When someone, how did you do your army? I dipped it, mate. I think people just think it means easy mode. Yeah, but it depends how you use it, like anything else, and it's just another tool. If you're glazing with it, or you're using it as a mid-tone or a base coat and then highlighting afterwards, you can produce fantastic results. I watched one of Martin's, I'm going to name check him. I watched one of his videos the other day, and he's painting his ECW stuff. And some of the stuff he does there, I'll use quite regularly. So you'll zenithal highlight. I probably go a little bit lighter on the white and leaving a bit more of the black there, so you've got that natural shadow. But then the base color will be that base color. And once you've got it on there, because you've got your white and you've got your black, you've got a shade, you've got a mid-tone, and a start of a highlight. And then I highlight one or two stages after that. By the time you finish, you wouldn't even know contrast has ever been used. So you can. It just depends on what you do with it.
No, exactly. And this Farmer Maggot. See, this was quite a reasonable price. Just like £8 on the GW site.
And it was all you needed for one side on the Farmer Maggot's crop scenario in the Quest of Ringbearer. So you need your 4 hobbits, which already had painted, had the Fellowship painted, and this. So I bought it. It was a fun little project, and funnily enough, those dogs are nearly all contrast.
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it? That Black Templar's a
up
really
afterwards,
nice colour
but
as
then
well.
all contrast.
Yeah, Black Templar's a really nice colour as well. Really like Black Templar. But let me get on to some of your historicals.
Yes, yeah.
You know, again, awesome. You know, absolutely awesome. And again, I watched a video on these, and again, it's contrast quite a lot of this, wasn't it?
There was two ways to go with this sort of scale. I thought I'm going to hit it with the airbrush, all and get the predominantly one color down, and then add in the details, or make use of the detail that's there. And at this scale, I thought contrast was, at least for Confederates, is definitely the way to go. Union, I think you got a bit more choice. But it was those. If you do you have War Games Illustrated?
I don't get it every month, but I do get it occasionally.
I think it was $3.99. The one you got the free sprue anyway. The one that's out of stock, went out of stock everywhere because so many people wanted the free sprues. There's a really good painting article in there, and it's about using contrast and using glazes. And I read it and thinking, I paint like this anyway. This is exactly how I'd approach it. So I used some similar colours and sort of developed my own from there. But it's basically black prime with the airbrush because the detail's quite small. I didn't trust hitting these with a rattle can. Black Vallejo prime for the airbrush, and then grey Vallejo as a zenithal, leaving enough black there so the shadow's there, and then a dry brushing white. I don't normally dry brush as part of my zenithal. Sometimes I'll hand paint in on a 28mm miniature. Sometimes I'll hand paint in pre-highlights, so when I put the glaze over the top, it's already there. So you almost like painting the miniature in grayscale first, but that's what you got, and then you add the colour in. So it's mainly the blues is like the Talisar blue contrast.
The Talisar blue. Yeah, I found a love for that for my C stuff.
It's brilliant, and when it's still wet, work with it. So I wash my brush off, lick the end of it, and then take a little bit of the paint back off. So you've already got a bit of a highlight in there, and then I've just gone through all the different ranges of browns, as I said, and really picked out the little bits.
That's what they're good for, aren't they?
For scale.
Yeah, it is perfect, and exactly. And I did used to do like my metallics with that basilicum grey, but I've gone back to obviously I use metallic colours now, but it does still have, if you want a dull like metal finish, like it does have its uses, and I think most of the paints do. I think the only one I haven't really used is I can't even pronounce it. The Aerophematic blue. That's probably the only one I've not really used.
I've used it on power weapons, on Space Marine things like power coils and things over white, and then sort of highlight afterwards. But that's the only thing I've used it for, I think.
Yeah, no. And what else we got here? So yeah, so cool.
So we took a couple of pictures as little teaser videos before we or teaser pictures before we did our episodes on Crest and Ring Bearer. So this was a Farmer Maggot's crop kind of.
They're really cool. Fences you got there. Where did you get those? Or
those fences are GW ones. They're from the old. Used to get it was like a farmhouse and tower kit, the big thing that's on in one Ruined Manor, I think it was called, or something like that. You could build it all as one big building or as a separate tower and a little house. Those are in that.
No, I'll have to look at that. And there's Buckleberry Ferry.
Yeah.
Hey!
Made out of offcuts of the Rowan Palisades kit.
Well, speaking of Buckleberry Ferry, they show you to make it in this in the Fellowship book.
Yes, and it's quite a basic one, but it's perfectly serviceable.
Yeah, I think I'm thinking I'm getting very tempted like to do all like the old school stuff because they show you how to make one of the Rohan buildings as well. We out of balsa wood and stuff like that, and I'm quite interested to scratch build some of that maybe. But yeah, oh my god, man.
It's one of my. It's an unfinished army project, but it's one of my favourite. It was quite quick, but one of my favourite middle-earth models I've done. So
detail around that face, the detail around that face is just unbelievable. What kit is this?
So see, Forge World is the Gundam Bat Troll. So it's a pricey troll. It's about 65 quid, I think. It's a lovely model. Model.
That is an extremely nice troll, and yeah, beautiful. Moria stuff. So cool. So Scratch built this as well. Yeah,
and it's very similar. So it's built to the dimensions of the latest scenario in Crest of Ringbearer. But if you've got the battle games in Middle Earth, I think the rest of the inspiration was taken from that. It's just all blue foam and the Arlen's Tomb kit that you can buy at GW again now. You only get 4 pillars in it, so I've got an extra 4 pillars from another set on eBay. But
No.
It's very quickly made, to be honest with you. It's blue foam scored in stone, and then you use like tin foil to roll over it to make it look like cracked up rock and stuff.
Yeah, but that's it done. And
yeah, that's it finished. And then I've used Free Stuff World did this stuff called spider serum, which is basically spider web that shoots out of your airbrush. Yeah. It's about as delicate as real spider web as well. You can't fix it in place, so it will wear off over time. But it just looked too cool to stick it on for the pictures and for when we play the game. So,
I bet that's the thing. And the cool thing is, you've may only used this board once or twice, but once you've got it, you've got it.
Yeah.
But that's so cool. I'm gonna have to build one as well.
It's just an iconic moment. So it's the kind of thing that people want to play. So my 6-year-old is a nerd in waiting. I think he loves his nerdy films and stuff like that, but he's not quite mature enough to play the games. But he's really interested, and when he does, cracking out Balance Tomb is going to be a way to get him into the game.
Easy, and again, yeah.
These are Forge World ones. These are Barnum and Butterbeer and Harry Goatleaf and Bill the Pony. So they were brought out along with the Crest of Ringbearer release. So another one of the scenarios was Escape from Bree. This was pictures I took around that time.
Nah, that's awesome, man. It's awesome. And you got the spider there.
Oh yeah, well, I forgot we played that scenario. So the Shalob's Lair is another scenario in Crest of Ringbearer. So it's fun painting up Shalob, and the little Sam that comes in that kit is one of my favourite versions. One of my favourite Sam sculpts.
Oh, so cool, isn't it? That's so cool. And there's just some more close-ups of the troll. That's just the detail. Just so good.
The miniature is incredible. A lot of that's miniature.
Yeah, no, that mini that is. You can see why Forge World do their premium price, don't you? You can 100% see it, and I had the Forge World Avatar Kane, and that is a lovely model. They are lovely models, but no, I'm very much jelly of your painting. No, that's cool. No, thanks for sharing those pictures. It's nice to see what other people are doing, and it is definitely one out there. And what people have been saying in the comments. Tim's put, how do I get in touch with you to paint something? Bolt Action, Dad's Army set. Would you say?
So best thing to do, it's any of my social media really. Just hit me up a message. Miniature Realms on search on Facebook.
There should be Instagram in the description. In the description on the video, there should be the Miniature Realms Facebook page. Should be linked in there. So just click on that and
search me on YouTube. So I just started using the channel to do videos there, and in every video's description is the links to everything, including the Out of the Fry Pan stuff as well. Yeah,
definitely listen to that if you're into your SPG stuff. But I think someone asked how you did your bases on one of them, and I think they were saying they're in White Dwarf.
So that was the we talked about the scenario, the Wizard's Duel. So that's where that was. I believe that's what Dan says. That's my co-host.
Yeah. What we got here? The Zotevs. That is, what's he put here? Oh, they're talking about the 12mm stuff. More likely like some cavalry. Yeah, because you have gone very heavy.
Yeah, I've bought into waves 2 and 3. I haven't bought limbers and I haven't bought wagons, but everything else.
No, you bought the cavalry, dismounted cavalry, the skirmishers. Yeah, you are. Yeah, I don't
know how much I'll need of those things yet, but
no. When does it turn up?
I think it's a while. I think it's May for wave 2 and not till June for wave 3.
Oh, okay. Is there going to be a wave 4, or is that so?
I don't know. My guess is no. I think that's it.
I think that's it.
I think they tend to round off their systems fairly quickly. We might be lucky and get another set of generals or something. A couple of different sculpts maybe, but I don't think they need anything else. I know people out there going, yes, you do. You need this uniform variation, this uniform variation.
No, that's scary.
I don't think you're going to see any of that. I think if we're going to see anything, it could be. I think the range looks complete for their approach, shall we say?
Yeah,
I might be wrong. I'd love some more generals. If anyone's listening, I'd love some variation on general. The mix of generals is a bit weird. So the ones that the ones you got free with it, if you ordered it by a certain time, so Mead and Lee,
they don't fight each other.
It's Gettysburg. Well, they do. Gettysburg.
Oh yeah, Mead did. Yeah, sorry.
And the terrain is there, but then you've got Jackson in wave 3. So Jackson was dead before Gettysburg. So and then you think, well, if you're going to have Jackson, maybe you'll have someone else from earlier in the war. But then you got Grant, so you can use Grant versus Lee and Jackson versus. So there's a bit of a mix up, and essentially, Black Powder rules. You're not going to be using that level of commander anyway.
No,
what you probably need is a range of generic brigade generals, brigadiers. That would be really useful. Ones that you could that aren't just the guy you got on the sprue with his sword forward. I've done a couple of conversions, but that's going to become hard to do it for every single one. So I would love a generic generals pack. With 2 different variations for each side, a couple of extra banners.
I'm trying to remember his name, but the Virginian guy, George something. It's lost my head. His brigade was completely near enough wiped out at Gettysburg with the march across the thing. But it's George something. But it's only for Virginia.
Pickett. Do you mean the charge? Trickish charge? Yeah.
And
so he would have maybe been but again he's a divisional commander, so it's that kind of mix between. They just put some good personalities out there, but it just feel like you have gone McClellan maybe or something. I don't know. There's so many they could have done, and whichever one they'd done would have been wrong. I'm not. Yeah, exactly. I would have liked the long streak though. Not going to lie. Yeah, well, I'm going to use my second Lee, I think, as a long streak. The only depends how accurate they've been on Lee's uniform, because he wore a very plain coat, which might not work, but. He's got his hat on. I've got my Lee waving his hat, so I might extend his beard and make it a long streak. Make him into Tom Berenger.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love that. Do you know, Gettysburg, the film, I absolutely love it.
It's good. It's really good. It's better than Gods and Generals.
I haven't. Do you know what? I haven't watched it because so many people have said bad things.
Watch it. You'll enjoy it. But
it's not as good.
Robert Duvall, I think, is a better Lee as well. Really good. But it's a bit more fluffy, and because it's quite focused on the Confederates, you have to be a bit concerned about how kind of lost causey it is in places, which is a bit no-no really. And their portrayal of slavery is really not very accurate, and definitely not what it should be for 2003 when the film came out.
Yeah,
it's definitely not. Was it 10 Years a Slave kind of era? Sort of. You think of that film and. Slavery is not handled very well. There's some inaccuracies in it, but if you get away from that, there's some good stuff in it.
Okay, so it's worth a watch then.
It's worth watching. Just be aware, there's more inaccuracies there than there are in, and it just feels a bit Confederate focused. It's only really Chamberlain and Winfield Scott that you kind of see from.
Yeah,
the Union side. It feels a bit unbalanced.
Yeah. Speaking of Chamberlain, I've got the Chamberlain brothers miniatures from the giant. I did buy those specifically, and I won't get rid of those, even though I'm going to do the ACW top. But I really like those sculpts. They're really nice. Have you seen the giant stuff? Have you?
I'm aware of it. I haven't seen those pictures. I might have to go and have a little look.
They're like it's so cool because they're like £5. And it's so cheap, and they're limited run. So once the 500's done,
that's it. You're done.
I'm old.
It might be a nice little painting project. I got Glory Hallelujah in with the starter set, and you still get the free miniature. So I've got the kind of lying down guy with a choice of heads. But I was thinking about painting that just on its own as a little display base, a little vignette or something for fun.
Exactly, yeah. Because I would because. I don't know about yourself, but 28mm is my preferred scale. But I'd love to do everything in 28mm, but there just isn't enough time in the day to do everything in 28mm.
It's that and table size for me.
Yeah,
I really want to play, a division sort of size. I want 3 or 4 brigades aside.
Yeah.
And you got two barriers to that. One is table size, and one is if you go along with Warlords, 5 stands for a regular and 7
how are you doing it? So how are you doing it?
I am doing 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1 tiny, 2 small, 3 for regular, and 4 for large. And I'm only basing this on what I've seen in those epic groups, but that seems to be the consensus. I would say out of people that have said what they're doing, I'd say 7 out of 10 are doing that. And then another 1 out of 10 is not even using black powder, and then someone else is. So I would say that most people have cut it that, and it makes sense because it matches your stamina and your shooting dice as well. So it matches.
The Warlord want you to buy more figures, so they want you to have bigger.
Potentially, they might have just gone it for the way it looks. The number of I've not really thought about it. I don't know what the development process was like for that. It
Yeah.
does feel like they want you to buy more, but then I don't know. I don't know how much they kind of thought into it. I know I believe them when they say that the scale is and what is on that sprue is because it's one sprue, and they didn't want to have a separate artillery sprue. They really wanted to, because of the cost of plastic tooling to do metal or plastic miniatures is astronomical. They're cheap only afterwards. The tooling's really expensive, so they really wanted to go, right, we've got two things to produce in plastic: the bases and this one sprue, and that's the key to it. And I think that's why it fits on the way it does. But I don't know whether they thought it through. It definitely ignores what it says in the main Black Power rulebook for unit frontages. It makes it bigger, which seems a ridiculous thing to do. What I'd be saying is, what's the goal for this game? Let's bring big battles to a 6x4 because people can do a 6x4 at home.
Yeah.
Instead, you're thinking, oh, I need even more space.
Yeah, you need even more. Might as well play 6 mil.
Oh, you can change it. This isn't, this isn't a GW game where you've got a tournament rule set that people are going to go out there and argue about. You just change it and do what you want.
No, exactly, and it's the same with Napoleonics, isn't it? So I do my regular units as 24s, and my largest 36. Okay,
yeah,
so
that's what I was planning.
so yeah, exactly, yeah. So 36. So because my Austrians have to be filled in large, not my Austrians. Yeah, my Austrians. What we're talking about, they have to be filled in 36s, and I definitely would not have been able to do 36-man like Frenchies, and then.
No. But that would have been horrendous, because what you have done for your Austrians now?
48. Would have been 48. So, oh my god, yeah, no. But it
looks good. It looks about right.
But yeah, exactly. It looks right. Don't get me wrong. I like the look of the 36. It looks good.
Yeah.
But the problem is space.
But it looks better in square. But you can make a more realistic square. That's the one thing with Black Powder. The squares look a bit.
And a column, so as well, if you're doing an attack column for the French, having 6 deep instead of 4 is definitely a lot better. That definitely looks nicer, but it's one of those, isn't it? You just have to, for room and stuff like that. Luckily, I'm moving house soon, so I'm going to have my own garage to have it as my YouTube/gaming area, so I'll be able to have a bigger table set up. But the Perrys have been kind and invited us 4 up to there once we can.
Incredible thing.
But yeah, exactly. And we're going to go up, but I'm going to feel bad because I'm going to have to mishmatch units. I bet they've got 36-man units, but they're the sort of people, because they've got a massive table, haven't they? Huge.
I think they might have a few spares if you needed it.
Yeah.
Right.
I was thinking that, But no, definitely looking forward to doing that. It's going to be cool. But I do like the feel of that's what's kind of got me into Naps is big mass battles, because me and Martin, when we played on a 7x5, or it might be a 7x4, and you needed that extra foot if you were going to play. We played 4 brigades. You needed that extra. Probably could have done with another foot, to be fair. I'm
going to try and get a bigger table. I've got a 6x4 at the moment, one of those Game Mat EU foldable out tables, but you need a big space to put that in. So the plan is at the moment, so table tennis tables, you can buy just tops. I know I can make this out of MDF, but I want it to fold away and be nice and potentially have another use.
Do you know what? I never thought of that with table tennis. I never thought about that.
So it's about 150 quid, but they do a 7x5. You can get a 9x6, which I think is a full-size table tennis table, and then you can get a 6x3, which is a pain because it's too narrow. But you can buy all these sizes, and they've usually got protection on the underside of them, so they can go on your regular dinner table, essentially.
Yeah.
So you can come with that list. Though, if you're going in your own garage, just get yourself one of those fold-out proper one with legs. Get a table tennis table.
Do you know what's really annoying is I know one of those is going really cheap at the minute. I never thought about it.
Do it, but have you got anywhere to store it until?
No, that's the problem. And a full-size table tennis table I know is going for like 60 quid.
That's really good, especially if it's a full-size 9x6. I'd love a 9x6. I've got quite a big open plan living area.
Yeah,
it would
fit
again,
isn't it?
I kind of don't want to have to rearrange the whole living room every time, so I might just get the 7x5. But that will be so I can play Black Powder on it, and 7x5 for the epic scale stuff. It's gonna be quite good.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if you've seen it, but what's Tim's put here? He's got it for £60. Everyone else, Callistra's talking about all the ACW stuff. But I was just, what was it? That's gone now. I should have said it before I had it in my head. No, it's got. Oh no, that's it. Killing Fields Terrain. Have you seen their mats?
Yes, I was very tempted. They're all out of stock, aren't they? So
I've got two.
Nice.
There's a story behind that. I ordered one. It turned up and there was a big patch missing.
Oh,
so they sent me another one for free.
Well, like a hole in it, or just like
no, just like the grass is the flock had gone off. So they sent me another one for free, and that one's fine. But I'm just basically going to patch over the
yeah. So this is a big problem. So what size do you get? Are they 6x4 ones?
6x4 ones. So I've got two 6x4s. So I can do a 12x4, or I can do an 8x6. So if I got that 9x7 table, then
yeah. They do look lovely. I've just ordered.
They are lovely. They are
9 foot by 5 foot's worth of polar fleece.
Right. Okay.
And I've got a theory that you can rough it up a little bit. So if you buy teddy bear foam for epic scale, they look like they're kind of walking through the corn, don't they? Like it's just a little bit too much. But my phone's talking to my watch is talking to me. Sorry about that. So the idea of that is to spray it and dry brush it and see if it works. If it doesn't, it's £27 on that Amazon have got out of me. If it works, it'll be worth it.
No, someone's just asking if I can show them some of my Austrians. Yeah, I can see if I can remember. There they are here. Got some handy models to hand. So that is one of the commanders. Oh, Christ, if it's going to focus, should focus. There it is.
You got it.
Yeah, cool.
That looks awesome.
And again, that is a lot of contrast paints. Again,
yeah, that's awesome. I love your basing as well.
Yeah, do you know what? I'm trying to get better with my basing because I was very lazy with my basing. I was using a lot of that Geek Gaming dip stuff.
Yeah, it's really good. You want to add to it afterwards?
Yeah, that's the thing in it. You've got to add to it. You have got to add to it, and I'm doing a lot of static grass now. And I'll tell you what, I curse myself for doing this. I wish I never did it, but I have now. So these bases here, if I can show it,
yeah,
I do all the bases before I put the miniature on. So I cut do you know on the bottom of the Perry stuff they got that?
Yeah,
I cut that off and super glue each model on after this is all dried because I want the static grass to obviously stand up.
Yeah,
that's painful.
I've been using tufts on the epic stuff because I thought the idea of static grass on there is just too small to handle. But
yeah,
that's a pain though, cutting them off, isn't it?
After you paint,
couldn't you just leave a mark where they're going to go with their little pudding bases on, static grass, everything else, and then when you put it on there, just cover it over with some tufts or something?
I did think
saving you having the pain.
Yeah, but then the problem is I'd have 6 identical tufts like on each base, so it looks.
Yeah, maybe.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
It's one of them.
Whether you'll be able to see it or really notice it, but I am with you.
I'll know it's there. Do you know the OCD hobby? I'll know it's there.
I wouldn't be doing what you're doing though. No way I can cut those bases off and glue them on like that. Are they penned at all, or you just glue them on?
No, just glue them on. They're just glued. They're super glued. To be fair, Amazon, right? £1.80 for that super glue. 20 grams of it.
I use something similar, but with a what's it called? I've lost my words.
Brushing?
No, the spray they get with super glue. I've got some over there.
Quick drying agent.
Yeah, it makes it. Yeah. I'm going to look now because it's going to do my head. Activator. That's the word.
That's the word.
Yeah, it's about £6 for Motor Bond.
Never used it. I'll tell you one other thing that I've got up here at the minute. Some really old school stuff. Someone sent me these from the channel, and this here is from Fantasy, but it's
an old Empire.
It's not. It's Dogs of War.
Right. Yeah, it's the horse I saw first. Isn't it?
Yeah, it's just like the Empire horses, but these are like the Dogs of War stuff.
They're quite rare, those.
Yeah, they're quite pricey. They're like it's like £60. It's ridiculous. Wow. They're going for silly prices. They're silly prices. There's like what is it? The 5-man. It's like a pike block basically. A 5-man pike block. £125.
God, I think the last time there was an army list for those might have been 6th edition.
Yeah, 6th
maybe
edition,
going into it. So I remember when one of the first games I got into when I got back into hobbying was Fantasy. It's the first thing I really started with. And I think it was 7th edition at that time, and there was a few people still playing Dogs of War, but you couldn't buy it anywhere, and it was a nightmare to get hold of.
Yeah, they are very pricey, but the guys it was really nice. You just I'm not going to sell them because they're worth so much money. He sent me about 6-7 brigades of Dogs of War stuff.
I'm sure they'll be usable, whether they're usable as Dogs of War, but they'll be usable.
I'll use them
whenever they release whatever the new Warhammer's going to be.
Well, exactly. I've been using them in Oathmark anyway, so just cavalry unit and stuff like that, pike unit and stuff. But Tim was saying here, this is very true, actually, very true. Audi do their mats. Lidl were doing one last week, 6x3. Yeah, 6x3 for £4. Grass. Yeah, and I need to get. I was meant to go in and check, and I completely forgot.
I know there was one on Wish a few months back, wasn't there? I think there's a video that Luke APS did about tightening one up. It was a 3x3 one.
Yeah, then the price went absolutely through the
roof.
Did it? Yeah. Whenever they do videos on it, the price goes up. Because obviously they're getting more traffic and they see where the traffic's coming from. And that
would have been no use to. If there was one that cheap, I might have picked it up for photos, so rather than getting out a big map.
Do you know what? I need to do that because I've got like do you know B&Q? I'd never realised B&Q do XPS foam. I never knew they did.
I didn't think they did do that.
No, exactly. They do the sheets, white sheets they are, and they're square. They're about 2 foot by 2 foot squares.
Okay,
But they do packs of they come in 16 and stuff like that for about £12.
That's crazy cheap. How thick is it?
Crazy cheap. Yeah.
And what's its thickness?
Well, you get. Let me just have a look. 2 mil, 6 mil, and I think 12 mil.
12 mil. Okay. So that Barney's Tomb board was blue XPS foam, which will be under the underfloor heating sort of sections. I'm sure that was about £12 for 4 2x2 sheets.
Yeah. Where did you get that?
Just eBay.
Just eBay.
There's loads of sellers. You search put XPS foam into eBay. There's loads of it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if I can see if they've still got it because this is ages ago, obviously. No, see, I don't think they do. No.
Whenever I've looked in there, it's just been like Kingspan or the thinner stuff, like thinner tiling sort of things. But
they definitely had it. I saw it in there the other week as well. I just put XPS. No, maybe they stopped doing it, but they did. They did do it. Maybe I was in there. It was only a year ago, but no, it's usually
fairly easy to get hold of. You just have to.
Yeah, I want to do a display, like take some pickies. So when I do pictures and stuff, I need to. It's not very hard because I'm in a box room, but when I get like new place and stuff and set out a place that I can take some nice pictures, because I think that is nice, especially for Instagram and things. It's definitely one of those things I would like to do a bit more. But
it's good fun. I've got a couple of railway backdrops. I'm going to get a couple more.
Yeah.
I use a backdrop anyway for my normal pictures. I'm doing that because I do it over there. Not anyone can see it. But I've got a backdrop holder, like a big bar that goes over on my desk, which I clip it onto, and it falls down just for the pictures for the website and things. But then I just put a little bit of neoprene mat over and the railway backdrop behind and the bits of terrain. You could see what was outside of shot. It's all precariously balanced.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
if you light it right, you can do some really fun little shots.
Oh, do you know what? There's just where I remember there was one question I was going to ask because I've been obviously listening on a podcast. I was hearing you had a Hound Titan. Did you get rid of it? And
yes.
Did you buy Smug?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It started, and I've done a little bit more this month. Over on the Out of the Frying Pan YouTube channel, there are a sort of series of vlogs as I build it and paint it. I'm going to start putting them up on both channels because I realise that people will find that generally people will be interested in that whether it's on. And when I do, I will probably re-upload those other ones on there. I know I can create a playlist, but I like it all tidying in one place. So I'll probably re-upload those videos onto Miniature Realms as well. Yeah. So the plan is it's probably going to be in May now, looking at what I've got. So by the end of May, it will be painted and done. That's my next project, Middle-earth wise.
It's an army. He's an army as well, isn't he? So you can use
I'll never use it. I might play with it once. It's just because I want it. It's a beautiful thing to own, really. But it's going to be a display thing.
Because obviously, because I never knew until they were on the cast, but Michael and Alan Perry did that model.
Yes, I didn't realise until maybe it was on your cast. I heard him say it, or it might have been.
Yeah, and Alan did all the coins individually. So Alan sculpted all the coins, and Michael actually that's the only CAD design Michael's ever done, and he said that was his favourite model he's ever done.
Incredible, isn't it?
That Smug is only CAD one he's ever done, and that was his favourite model he's ever sculpted.
It's stunning. I can't wait. It was always a balance between having a Titan that doesn't quite fit on the shelf and will never get used, or having the most famous dragon from my most famous fantasy thing ever on a shelf that I'm never going to use. So I thought we'll go for the dragon instead.
But this is the thing with Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. I've seen the films hundreds of times, but I know for a fact after we finished it, I'm going downstairs and I'm watching extended edition Two Towers.
That'll keep you up a while.
Yeah, that'll keep me up. Yeah,
I love those films. And that we talked about changing games a little bit, and you liking lots of different games. And I'm sure there'll be a period in a few years' times when maybe we're not playing so much SPG, might be playing something else. But we're going to go back to we talked about selling armies. Once I've painted those models, those Lord of the Rings models are never going anywhere because they're close to my heart in terms of my. Whereas Heresy armies, I like the lore a bit, but it's nothing compared to what Lord of the Rings is.
But that's another nice thing as well, because you think to yourself, like, you've got Aragon, but you haven't just got Aragon, have you? You've got him as Strider, you've got him as Aragon, you've got him as in the Two Towers, you've got him as a Return of the King. And it's one of the only ranges I really know where you've got all these different miniatures for the same
so
character.
Many,
especially for the Hobbits as well. Oh my God, how many Merriam Pinnings?
There's a few. There's new ones on the new Treebeard sculpt as well.
Yeah.
So they're slightly larger because of the end draft.
It's crazy.
Yeah, cool.
That's
really
great. Good. Yeah. So no, it's a really cool thing about, again, getting back to the Lord of the Rings side of things. I really am looking forward to doing this as like it's like a little project. But I can't wait. I can't wait to actually get into it. And I think I'm going to go to some. Actually, I said to myself that I'd never play like Games Workshop games, but I think I'm going to go to some of the tournaments because the SPG community, by listening to the cast and watching videos on it, it's not as big as the 40K and the Age of Sigmar.
No, it's not.
But
you still have some big events like the GTs will still have 80, 100 people at, and there will be in the world that was. You will still find monthly events where there'll be one that has 40, 50 people, but there'll also be little local ones with 10, 15, 20 people or something. So it's a good mix.
No, that's cool. No,
hang around on the bottom tables and it will feel like a narrative game anyway.
Exactly, yeah. It's a narrative game. I love. I'm gonna definitely enjoy it. But no. Well, I think it's been an hour and 40 minutes. It's been a long chat. It's been quite a long chat, guys. If you've got any questions you want to ask us, if we'll wrap it up in the next 5-10 minutes. But if you've got any questions now's the time to get them down in the comment section. And yeah, like I say, it's been really nice having you on. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you. It's been really good. It's been a nice chat.
And this is the thing with the YouTube community, and I find that people just reach out to each other.
Yes,
just we're all people at the end of the day, and we all that. The one nice thing is we've got in common is the hobby, isn't it? And yeah,
I've noticed that it's the historical YouTube community is probably friendlier within its own group than maybe a Facebook group for Black Powder is in certain places.
Yeah,
it's very friendly, very positive, which is nice to see because Middle Earth has been a very friendly community, and everyone says about their own gaming community. To be honest with you, and I've been in a few, and Middle Earth is right up there with some of the most friendly out there, noticeably so. And so far, I've found the same with the group of people around your podcast anyway, and your channels, the four of you that are involved with the Plastic Crack, definitely.
Yeah,
we
definitely found the best tasting line of paints.
I'm a really bad brush licker, so terrible with it. So
I'm really bad. How long have you been doing it? As long as you haven't got anything else, I should be all right. But
yeah,
I've got to admit, I don't like the taste of metallics.
The worst thing is when you've been putting decals on. So Microsol and Microset are pretty horrible. And I've got a brush restorer which stays in the bristles for a few days. So even though I've rinsed the brush through and I've still tasted it, and I lick it and I still taste it. That's not good.
Oh, yeah, I've got to admit, I am bad for that. Have you got like a specific brushes you use? What sort of brushes?
I use Broken Toad, and what are they called? They are Rosemary & Co. Series 33. They're both really good, reasonable prices, especially the Rosemary and Co. They're
See, I've never used any brushes like that. I'll be honest with you, I've never heard of them. I know Winsor Newton. What sort of price range are you comparing?
they're no more. The GW brushes aren't cheap anymore.
No,
they used to be cheap. People would say, "Well, I'm not spending X amount on a Winsor Newton or something," but GW brush prices are awful now anyway. So I would say go. So yeah, you're looking £4 to £7 depending on the type of brush.
Oh, that's not too bad.
And the full set I use for Broken Toad, so it's a 000, a 1, 2, a 0, 1 and a 2. Sorry, it's £40.
Yeah, I've got that's not bad, is it? I've got to admit, because I've got
It does me 6 to 9 months, probably 9 months, and I use brush cleaner and restorer and a gel to give a point back, so you look after them as well.
Yeah,
and that's I paint a lot. So
yeah, you paint a hell of a lot. You probably do 5 years worth of painting for other people, maybe 10.
Maybe, yeah. So I think you get a good set and you look after them.
No,
don't be scared of buying more expensive brushes. Get your 6 months, your 12 months out of them, and then buy them again. There's so much, make painting so much easier than working with that cheap brush, but with a slightly curved tip or whatever it is. It makes a huge difference.
I've done that in one of my tutorials before, and someone said, "Go out and buy a new brush."
What are you painting with?
It was actually really clever because I was a British airborne guy and I needed to get around his arm under the back. And I said, "I've got a brush just for this." And I tucked it in and I scooped it in, and I just had a comment 12 minutes in, get a new brush.
Oh, brilliant. The honesty of a YouTube comment.
No, exactly. This is it. But the brushes I use at the minute are the Red Stable Kolinsky brushes. I use the Army Painter ones a lot. I've just, let's see if I can find them actually. The brand here, they're Creative Models. They're only cheap things. But
if they work for you, it doesn't really. As long as
you're
I
use a 0
with them when they do the job. I think what I like is they've got a lot of bristles on, because you want your brush to hold paint. You don't want to have to keep dipping it back in the paint again. So I want sort of thick, bushy brush.
No, less stuff. But yeah, no. But nail varnish remover to clean an old brush. Yeah, just don't get it over the glue that holds down the ferrule.
Yeah.
It will destroy the brush.
I use 3 things to keep my brushes clean. Probably not going to work on this camera well, but there's the good old famous brush cleaner.
Yeah, I got that.
And then I use this. This is a German company, I believe. Arbeitlung 502. It's a brush gel, so you can make a point afterwards with it. And I just leave it in overnight, so it just helps reform the point. And then after every once a week or so, I use this brush restorer from the same company. And that's the stuff that tastes bad. It kind of, you can leave it in there soaking, and it just kind of clears out some of the paint that gets built up in the ferrule. Even though you shouldn't be dipping your brushes that far, we all do it, even mission painters. And you're working fast, you get paint.
It's a habit, isn't it? It's just, you try not to. I've really try not to do it. And when I do it, as soon as I notice I've done it, it's straight in the water, rinse it out as quickly as possible. You don't want to dry it in there, because otherwise it's just by brushing it at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I will. My brushes take a hammering. They're not they're generally well looked after, but once they get to the end of their life as well, I care for them a little bit less. Knowing I'm gonna have to buy some new ones soon.
No, that's cool. But yeah, Stuart, it's been great having you on.
Thank you very much. Brilliant.
Really nice having you on. We'll probably get you on the podcast at some point.
That'd be brilliant.
If you'd like to come on, it definitely be. It's a Monday though. You'll have to try and work
kids' bedtime night with the wife.
Just say I'll do an extra 2 nights next week, love. Just need that Monday. But yeah, guys, from myself and Stuart, we'll catch you again later. But thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you again very soon. Bye bye.